All right, now it's time for America's Talking, and we're going to focus in on one story in particular that wraps in nearly half of the country's attorneys general questioning funding for organizations that are using certain climate agenda in manuals for judges. As the Center Square is reporting this morning, 24 state attorneys general writing to the secretaries of Transportation, Energy, and War, asking them to investigate the federal taxpayer funding of two particular organizations due to the group's refusal to take action on a politically biased climate chapter in a reference manual that's used by judges. Now, the attorneys arguing such impartiality could impact the integrity of the judicial system. Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen, who leads the effort, told the Center Square contributor Tate Miller that taxpayer dollars should not be used to fund efforts that impartially influence judges. And he also went on to say, given multiple opportunities, the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, and the National Science Foundation still refuse to take responsibility for publishing what, Knudsen said, is a biased climate science manual violating their public commitments and legal obligations. Now, the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine was founded to advise government on issues related to science, engineering, and medicine, while the National Science Foundation, the NSF, is an independent federal agency that was started to support science and engineering all across the nation. Knudsen told the Center Square the organizations producing these manuals and pushing their climate agendas on judges must be investigated, and all funding to them should be stopped. He went on to say, as Attorney General, he'll continue to sound the alarm until they put an end to what he called a deception. Now, in February, 21 states attorneys general, they requested that the organizations remove a climate science section from their manuals, expressing concern over tax dollars being used to promote various partisan ideologies. As the Center Square is reporting, following those concerns being raised, the Federal Judicial Center removed the chapter from its online version of the manual, but NASM nor NSF took action. The CEO of the American Energy Institute, Jason Isaac, telling the Center Square that omitting one chapter does not fix a manual that was built around litigation-driven climate narratives from the start. The entire fourth edition should be rescinded, they said, and the third edition until Congress completes a full investigation on how activist lawyers and advocacy groups were allowed to shape guidance relied upon by federal judges, Isaac said. This obviously is impacting a lot of different states, with the 24 states with their attorneys general signing on to the letter. And those states include Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Nebraska, and the list goes on all the way down to Wyoming. In their letter, the attorneys general called on Congress to investigate NSF's and NASM's violations of their duties and commitments, according to the letter. They say by engaging in the biased process that produced the chapter for these manuals, these two organizations violated their public commitments and statutory duties. They say that both organizations claim that objectivity is an essential part of science and scientific integrity, but the chapter, they say, is designed to look at the climate science that a lot of people object to. NASM has not responded to the Center Square's request for comment, while NSF declined to comment. Again, this is a story that's impacting 24 states, and it's interesting to see because you typically have the more Democrat-controlled states that have been at loggerheads with the Trump administration over a variety of things, 50-plus lawsuits about funding, about different types of policies concerning transgender issues and Medicaid dollars and SNAP funding. But here you've got more conservative-leaning states worried about climate science that they say is biased being given to judges in a judge's manual. So be sure to get that story and plenty of others at thecentersquare.com. And that's America's Talking here for the Center Square Daily.